This is my full review of the Lenovo Smart Paper. How can I do a full review on the Lenovo Smart Paper without everyone just deciding it's rubbish and not wanting to watch the whole video? I've got it. I'll tell you what's bad about it, and then I'll tell you which one you should buy if that was a key feature that you were looking for. I will tell you what's good about it, of course, but I will tell you why you shouldn't buy this, and each time I tell you why you shouldn't buy it, I'll tell you what you should buy instead. Because we are very lucky that there are some amazing e-ink tablets out there. Here's what's good about it first. It's a good price, it's a good build, it's got a paper-like screen, and it includes accessories, the case and the pen. Each time I do a full review, I use the devices for at least 2 full weeks at work before I make the videos. And I can tell you that it did work. It worked for my workflow. I put my 2-week planner here on the device as a PDF, and I planned my week using it, and it worked just fine. And if this was the only e-ink tablet that I've ever used, or if it was the only one that existed, I'd be recommending it to you. But the Lenovo Smart Paper does not have the Google Play Store, and I can see no possible reason why it doesn't have the Google Play Store, so you shouldn't buy it. If you do want the Google Play Store, if you do want to use different apps, then you should buy a Boox device. I would recommend either the Note Air 2 Plus or the Tab Ultra C. I've actually gone back to the Note Air 2 Plus recently, and I found that I really enjoyed it. This is the Note Air 2 Plus. It's got a great battery life, and it has a full Google Play Store on the device, so you can have any app that you could possibly want. If you're mainly going to be reading and writing rather than using productivity apps, then you should go for the Note Air 2 Plus. But if you do want to use the productivity apps, then the best that Boox has to offer right now is the Tab Ultra C, and that's the one that mainly in this video I'll be representing Boox with. The color e-ink screen will give you an amazing experience across a whole range of different Android apps. You shouldn't buy the Lenovo Smart Paper if you want to read academic PDFs, because the reader is just so simplistic. You can't even use scaling options. It's just impossible to use for A4 PDFs in my opinion. And you don't get any note-taking tools really. You just get the pen and an eraser. You don't get more than that. You don't get much in the way of cropping the page or scaling it such that it makes a large academic PDF easy to read on the smaller screen. You just have to make do with it being slightly smaller text than it should be. And squinting at tiny writing is not getting the most out of these reflective screens. If you do want academic reading, you should either go for the big boy and go for the Tab X, or of course one of the Max Lumis, which are all fantastic tablets, and then you can look at academic documents full size as they're intended for print. Or you can buy one of the A5 devices from Boox because they have great scaling options. So you think you can see I'm already into a scaling option here with article mode, where you can display either the top or the bottom of the PDF. And now you see it's at full size, the way it was intended to be read. And it scans across the top of the page, then the bottom of the page each time. And you've got a much fuller range of note-taking options, including scribble annotations and written notes. NeoReader is the app that they use on Boox, and it lets you customize the way the device moves through PDFs. If you want to write longhand, if you want to write nice long passages of text, then you shouldn't buy the Lenovo because this horrible tiny little pen will actually make your hand hurt after a while. You can use a different pen, but of course this is the one that comes bundled into the device, and so you're probably going to end up using it, and it's got this special little groove which fits into the case quite nicely as well. That's quite a nicely thought through feature really, but the pen itself for long periods, for me at least, is too thin. If you want to write for long periods, then you should either be looking to get the Remarkable if you like a more pencil and paper type feel to your stylus, and if you want a type folio case. Or you should buy the SuperNote A5X if you prefer more like a ballpoint feel to your stylus. I love this device for writing longhand. All 3 of these devices, the Remarkable, the Lenovo, and the SuperNote, have handwriting recognition, but the Lenovo isn't going to be better than either of the other 2. And I'll just say that actually the sleeper here is probably the black and white Tab Ultra for writing, or the color of course, because then you can use voice recognition and you get the typecase, and you get a kind of felt feel screen. And all of this of course you can use with any Android app that you'd like to use for writing, maybe Microsoft Word or Google Docs. With the Lenovo you're sort of stuck with handwriting in the Notes app, and then maybe you might want to use the Office apps that they've included here on the device. More about that later. You shouldn't buy this if you want to draw on the tablet, because although it does have a good pencil tool with tilt and a good range of pressure, the Remarkable does that as well, and so does the Kindle Scribe. And the Remarkable features are just that little bit more advanced for drawing. Also, using that pencil to manage to lose the Remarkable pencil. And this thin Lenovo pencil will be quite difficult for drawing for long periods as well. The Remarkable pencil is an incredible tool giving you a good range of sensitivity and tilt and tones. And you've got pinch to zoom, which is a really good way to zoom in and make the fine details, and then zoom out and see the whole thing. And you can export your notes as SVG, which is scaled vector graphics, and so therefore you can edit them in a full vector program on the computer afterwards. Found it. And the Remarkable Pencil is a much more comfortable tool for drawing for long periods. And you have the eraser on the back as well, just as you do on the Kindle Scribe. The Kindle Scribe also has a great pencil tool for drawing. It's got a great actual stylus, it's got a wonderful screen feel, and it's got that 300 dots per inch, which is really nice for drawing on. Just like the Remarkable 2, it's got an eraser on the back of the pencil, but it's also got a second function button for highlighter on the actual stylus as well, which you can actually make some quite nice effects with that by layering it under your pencil marks. It doesn't have layers though, and that's something I would love to see them bring to the Kindle Scribe. The Lenovo does support third-party pens that have the eraser on the back. That was included in their recent update, but you don't have one on the actual pen that you'll probably end up using. And there seems to be no option to upgrade this pen for one with an eraser or a button on the side as well. You shouldn't buy this if you want to use productivity apps. This is where you start to realize that Lenovo is just not very well thought through. They haven't spent enough research and development time into the software. If you look into the FAQs of the Lenovo, they say that they haven't given you an app store because it is not a tool that's designed for using productivity apps. They say that it's a device for reading and writing on. Fine, but they have given you WPS Office. That isn't just for reading and writing, is it? That's a productivity suite. It gives you Word, it gives you a presentation app, a PDF reader, and Excel sheets. So they must have intended it for productivity tasks, because there it is. They've also given you a browser, but they've given you Firefox. Why randomly Firefox? Not letting you choose any other browser that you might want to use. Do you remember when Microsoft got into hot water about just including Internet Explorer in Windows as a default? And they had to give you an option when you booted up. Why haven't I been given an option to actually go ahead and install Chrome or any browser that I might want to choose on here? Now, you might have noticed that I actually also have Eink Bro on here as well. This is because everything beyond Firefox on here I've installed via an APK. I've actually had to download that from the browser here on Firefox, download the APK package and install it, what some people call side-loading apps. I've installed Chrome because that's the one I mostly use on an Android phone, and therefore it's got all of my passwords and all of my logins and everything saved into it, and of course my browsing history as well, which is very, very useful for productivity, which clearly this is designed for. So if you do want productivity tasks and to browse the internet, then you should definitely be going for the Tab Ultra C, because, well, you'll just benefit from the way the GPU handles the color e-ink screen. Found, for instance, especially using my spider chart comparisons here on eWritable.com, that it was just really useful to have that color e-ink screen. And you might notice the way, can you see the way the ghosting just gets cleaned up without doing a full refresh? That's the power of this GPU. So you might notice the word presenting there. If I move the word presenting now, you see it just disappears from the white space over the next few refreshes, and that is with me in balanced mode, which is a very balanced mode, and it's where I spend most time here on the Tab Ultra C. So there's just so many things that's better about the Boox devices, especially the new generation with the GPUs. It's just hands down in every way, this is a better device than the Lenovo is. It's streets ahead. Okay, apart from battery life, the battery life is very good here on the Lenovo. You shouldn't buy the Lenovo if you want to use it at work, because, well, there's essentially no way to integrate this with your workflow. Apart from Google Drive, they have added Google Drive, although it does seem to always crash out with my Google Drive. If I press refreshing now, it'll be sitting there for a good, I don't know, 10 minutes or something like that. If I come back to this in 10 minutes, Google Drive will be ready. I don't know if my Google Drive is a bit too full for it, which, you know, it shouldn't be, because it's not downloading any actual data onto the device when it refreshes Google Drive. It's just looking at a list of my files that I've got on Google Drive. And then there's the Lenovo Cloud that you can use, but the Lenovo Cloud is just too expensive to really be a goer for anyone, I think. For tiny amounts of storage, it's like, what is it, like £8 a quarter for 5 gigabytes of storage or something like this. I don't know why anyone would choose to use that, really. Boox give you 10 gigabytes free for every account that you make. And it seems that this is the only way to actually sync and access your notebooks in the cloud is via the Lenovo Cloud, which you would just have to pay for. You see, it is syncing, but I don't think I can access them by the app on the computer. It doesn't even seem to be integrated with Windows very well. It does have its own little app on the desktop, but why can't they just use Link Your Phone to Windows? That's a way of taking an Android device into Windows such that you can access access all of the files on the device and transfer files to or from the device on the computer. This seems like the biggest miss. Lenovo could make the case to professionals if it was the best device for linking to their ThinkPads, for example. And I don't know any Western company that uses WPS Office Cloud or WPS Office as their main document management system. It's essentially going to be 90% of UK organizations are going to use the Microsoft Cloud, and Microsoft Office apps, maybe 10% are going to use the G Suite because they want to be nimble and they don't want to be beholden to Microsoft Office apps only. So if you do want to use those, yeah, that's right, you're going to use the Tab Ultra C, and you're going to have your own personal apps. Here's my own personal Outlook, and here's my work Outlook here. You can have your work mode Office apps separate from your home Office apps as well. And you're going to manage your email with the keyboard case. You're going to start and you're going to edit Word documents here on the device with the keyboard case. It's just a much more natural way of working with Eink. It just seems like such a simple choice to pop the Google Play Store here on the Lenovo, and all of a sudden all of those Microsoft Office apps would work really well. If they did that, then they'd be away and I'd be recommending this. Perhaps not quite over the books yet, but I would certainly be recommending it higher than I am here today. Lastly, if you want this device for reading, then you're not going to buy the Lenovo. You've got the choice of whatever it is that they put on here at the start, ebook reader, which goes to ebooks.com. Would any of you do this? Would you buy this device and decide, oh, and now they've put ebooks.com on here, so I'm gonna switch to reading everything on this app rather than the Kindle library that I've been using for decades? I just can't see anyone making that choice. Okay, I have put Kindle on here, so it is possible. There it is, it works just fine, but I've done that by downloading an APK, and that's a workaround that not everyone is gonna feel confident to do. Yeah, it is easy to do, but I just think we're all used to saying, I want Kindle, so I'll download that from an app store. Frankly, Lenovo just need to treat us like adults and give us an app store and let us use our device as we wish. So if you want a device for reading, then you should buy the Kindle Scribe. You have a great reading platform on a great screen with some digital note-taking features as well. I do really enjoy Kindle Unlimited because you can get a lot from books in a very short amount of time, and you can borrow many different books. The Lenovo screen is the older 227 DPI screen, so it isn't going to look quite as crisp and clear as the Kindle Scribe will. All that being said, I did use the device for work and it did do its job. It did fulfill my main use case, which is to be my daily planner at work. I could put my PDFs here on the device and I could do my planning on that document once I'd put them in the right folder. I found that writing on the PDFs was generally fine, although it does do something odd where when it rotates, it doesn't rotate the notes. I think they might want to have a look at that one. I made some notes on the device as I was using it. They changed the pen tools, the way they look, just to make them look a little bit less like remarkable, and I think they're far less attractive. It does have email, but setting up could be way simpler, so I didn't even get it set up. Like you expect to be able to log into your email by just putting your password and username in and to be able to work your email that way, so it could be a lot simpler there. And again, if they just enable Google Play, then they wouldn't have any of those issues. The adaptive brightness is nice to have, right? But they're not really understanding how e-ink works here, because when it's bright around, it should be less bright, because a reflective e-ink screen works by using the ambient light to display the image. It doesn't need any light at all. So actually when it's brighter, then the lights should go down rather than up. But of course on an ordinary LCD screen, then when it's brighter, the lights need to go up to kind of combat the reflections. It needs to be brighter than the reflections essentially to give you a good viewing experience. So the way this adaptive brightness works is just like as if it was an LCD screen. So it just shows a game. They haven't really thought it through. I like Lenovo. It is true of the Boox devices, for instance. The adaptive brightness on the Palmer, actually, the lights come on when it gets darker, and they don't ever go to really bright in dark conditions, but they go off when it's lighter. So when you've got a lot of ambient light, you don't need the front lights on. So once again, it shows that Lenovo haven't really taken the time to understand the device that they're putting out there. It is just like they've seen that another company has made a success of this type of device and they've decided they want a product in this category rather than thinking it through. So my feedback is please try harder. The pen is not comfortable here, just needs a huge update essentially. And it's that weird PDF rotation that I'm finding why is that? A common conclusion of reviewers on this device is going to be that it is good hardware, but it's just a half thought through software experience. And that's being generous, to be honest. Did I enjoy using it for work? No, I was relieved to go back to a different device. massively. Did I carry a second e-ink device as well so I could still do my productivity tasks on e-ink at the same time? Yes, I did. I carried the Tab Mini C or I carried the Palmer. So I did have full Android apps to do things like writing into Xtiles and keeping track of my calendar on an e-ink screen. This Lenovo Smart Paper is one of the worst e-ink tablets that I've ever used, but it is still brilliant. I just think that e-ink devices have a definite place in our professional lives. It is also a device that Lenovo can easily rescue. If they just put Google Play on here, and if they develop the reading experience and the note-taking app, and all of a sudden, I'm telling you, this is great value, that would make it a well-built, fully featured e-ink tablet. And it would go right up there with the Note Air 2 Pluses of the world. The build quality is as good as the Remarkable and as good as Scribe, but it's just not as well loved by Lenovo. They don't seem to have spent a lot of time really thinking it through. They've just thought, here's a growing product category, let's make sure we've got one of those in our lineup. A bit like the Scribe perhaps at first, have they looked at the lineup of e-ink tablets and seen the Remarkable and, well, now the Scribe, and thought that's the competition, and just tried to match those and give you that little bit more by giving you WPS Office? I think they've misjudged that if that's the case. And whereas Amazon went to the trouble of sourcing the very best screen that you could have at that time, the 300 DPI exclusive screen, the best black and white screen experience that you can get, and Boox are going to the trouble of making sure that you can use all the productivity apps that you want on a wonderful color e-ink screen. Boox have taken the time to optimize for OneNote to make that a usable experience, because that's the feedback they've had from their customer base. Remarkable have spent all this time selling a use case and really thinking through about the way that it integrates with your life at work, for instance in meetings, and adding a type case because people have asked for that additional experience, and giving you a great cloud experience, making sure it's super easy to use so nobody gets any friction between their pencil and the paper or the e-paper that they're using. Lenovo just seem to have slung out a tablet. It's weird. It really shows it in the way that it manages its auto-dimming screen. And that's one of the few features that it does have over other tablets. So really the front light should be actually coming on when the ambient light dims, and they should be totally off when you're in bright conditions. But what does the Lenovo do? It gets brighter in full sun, just like another LCD tablet would. And that's just another indication of how little thought has gone into this tablet from their software division. Just like the Scribe that was really rescued by some updates, that's what the Lenovo Smart Paper needs. E-ink tablets are fantastic. If you're like me and you want rid of paper planners and notebooks, this will do the business. But please make sure you look at some of the other options that I go through in this video, and I go through in much more detail in these videos linked here. And if you do want to get one, you'll find links in the descriptions, but please go straight past the Lenovo and you'll find links to all the other tablets that I've showed you in the video today.